So it's quite likely that you will have heard of learning preferences and learning styles. So let's just touch on those briefly to take a look at what that means for you in terms of how it affects the building of your learning product or program. Now, one of the first things we need to consider, and this is the one that you've probably heard the most of, is that there are those three types of learners primarily. We have visual learners, audio learners, and kinesthetic learners. Now, our visual learners like to see. They are people that learn best by watching and physically seeing something. So in your course, this could mean like having a video, it could mean having PowerPoint slides and pictures, images, drawings, diagrams. It could be you physically demonstrating something that they can watch the process of. Majority of our population are visual learners, and I'd highly recommend that whenever you're developing training and delivering training, that in order to meet the majority of your class and learners' needs, that you ensure that there is some really significant proportion of visual learning in there. So whether that's interesting slides or, like I prefer to do, having an actual talking head and slides in the background. Now, I do this on purpose. It's not because I have some egotistical desire to be on all of your computer screens. It actually comes from the concept of adult learning that, one, people relate more to a human. This is an online course, and that would be very, very dull. There would be an area of lack of interaction when a human actually isn't there. By having a human to look at, it not only gives your eyes something to do and something to follow, it also actually keeps that visual learning part of your mind active, along with the slides behind me. That combination just actually ensures that I am maximizing on the learning opportunity and learning potential of this program. So bear that one in mind when you are designing and developing your training too. How can you make this as visual as you possibly can? The other ones are audio learners. That basically means that they listen, learn. They learn by listening. I'll get there eventually. So what we need to do here is work out in what ways can we make sure that the listening side of it works really well. These are the people who like to download the audio of your course. So some of you might be listening from your car. Hello. And these people learn better by listening in their car, listening to the audio, listening to lectures, listening to the person talking. That's what they like to hear, and they also enjoy having some music in the background. Now, I choose not to put music in the background of my courses purely because I'm not an audio learner, and I feel like it can be a little bit distracting to those that aren't as well. So it's up to you. There's no right or wrong with that, but if you feel like that will actually help and enhance your program, then by all means certainly go for that. Then we have our kinesthetic learners. Now, I've mentioned those already. These are the people that really like to do stuff. They are the person who gets very agitated in conferences or in lectures because they're just thinking, for the love of all the gods, let me have a go. Just give me the thing, let me work it out. They don't like following instruction manuals. They just like to play with it and work it out by having a go. That is also a large proportion of our population. So how can you make sure people are getting to have a go? Now, I've talked about this already, so I won't go into it too much. How can you get people to do and actively try and put into place the learning and the knowledge and the skills that you have been putting across in your course? Now, the other types of learners we need to understand when it comes to building our course are global and analytical learners. Now, as the names would suggest, global learners are people who see the much bigger picture. They get very bored and frustrated with detail. If you are going to take something through step by step by step by step, they've already jumped through to step 100. They already know everything you're going to say, and they will get bored and frustrated immediately. They like sort of tell me what the point is and let me have a go. They're very conceptual, and they really like to just tackle things from a whole point of view. And in fact, when it comes to an online course, this might be you if you're watching this course. You're the kind of person who would have scrolled all the way down before you got started and may have just randomly click on different units and different videos that you felt like applied to you. Whereas Analytical learners like things to go perfectly in order. They like to follow things in steps and in stages. And if a step's missing, they will feel a little bit annoyed, frustrated, hard done by, like something's been taken away. And it will actually, even in some cases, really quite upset them and make them feel distressed that they've missed something out and not been provided what they needed to move forward. So with those kinds of learners, you need to make sure that there is a very, very clear progression. For instance, they want to know what the curriculum looks like up front. They want to know what their program is going to look like. They want to know what's in it. They want to know what stage 1 is, what 2 is, what 3 is, and they want to know the whole thing before they start. And then when they get started, they will not go to step 3 until 1 and 2 have been achieved. So make sure that your programs work for both of these types of people. Make sure you're designing it, preparing it, and offering it out to them in a way that fits those global and analytical and your visual audio kinesthetic as well. The other thing we need to do when it comes to preparing, designing and developing our course is think about our hearts-driven people and our heads-driven people. So we need to make sure that in the writing of it that we are including elements of feeling. So this will be, do we enable them to create feeling and emotion and experience feelings and emotions as they're going through it? We want people to laugh. We want people to be moved. We want people to be shocked into action. And the more we can create emotion in our audience, the more likely it is we're going to have them engaged and really enjoying the journey of the program too. You don't want to keep them in high or low too long. You want to be able to keep that nice and balanced as you go through. Also, you want to be engaging their emotions in terms of making sure that you bring points home. People remember things more when they've been anchored to some kind of emotion. So really get those hearts people involved. Use feeling words. Describe things in like, do you want to feel like? Do you want to stop feeling like? These people will be engaged when you use that kind of language and emotional tonology. Whereas your heads people and your thoughts people, they like facts, they like statistics, they like black and white information, they like evidence. They're sort of like, yeah, don't bore me with this hearty, feely type stuff. I just want to know the stuff. I just want you to tell me what I need to know and convince my mind that you have the factual information for this to be correct knowledge. So make sure you engage hearts and make sure you engage heads. And finally, the next thing we're going to look at is making sure that your learning content and delivery is engaging your left brain and your right brain people. Now, the way I like to remember this is left brain is L for logical. So people who are predominantly left-brained in nature are people like us who like the analytical and headspace people. They like that logical flow. They like step-by-step processes. They like facts. They like statistics. They like evidence. If your course does not include those things, you are potentially leaving out 50% of your audience, which means you have potentially 50% of your audience who will not like or enjoy your program. Problem. So the other side is your right-brained people. Now, the right side of our brains are the creative side of us. They are the side of us that likes to conceptualize, likes to think, likes to be creative, likes to go outside of the box, likes to synthesize knowledge and create new ideas from two pieces of information that are brought together, that we like to put our own ideas and concepts and beliefs into something that we've heard from somewhere else. So make sure that you are also engaging your left brainers and your right brainers so that you have maximum opportunity of creating super happy people.